Wednesday afternoon.
Beautiful weather.
Beautiful
Is it
outside.
July?
You know what it is time for, Robert? It is time for the greatest sports podcast on this side of the Mississippi. Three guys who love sports right here.
Who's on the other side of the Mississippi I need to keep tracks on?
The Kelsey brothers. I think they're on the other side of the Mississippi.
I think they do it from their house, so technically only half of them is on the other side of the Mississippi.
I don't want to go through the whole thing again. You get the gist of it, right?
I get
All right, so this show is here to support guys that are going through prostate cancer and other physical issues and mental issues. And if we can help take their mind off what they're going through an hour a week, and you help somebody too, and we all do a little, nobody has to do a lot. So happy to have you with us. My name is Chuck Burge, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kenny. Robert, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, and you know that last part that you said, if everybody does a little, then nobody has to do a lot. I don't like doing a lot, so I think everybody should do a little.
I think so, too. I think that's perfect.
It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. As always, we're here at Miller's, and Miller's is very good to us. We've been here 18 months now, doing this every Wednesday, and they provide you with some great food. I don't know what, Sean, what'd you get up there? Look like some wings or something? Oh, that, whatever that is. Sean got some. Sean played ball at Syracuse. He's joining us today. Going to get him on the show sometime in the near future. I went with my now traditional Mimi's Fiesta Bowl without shrimp. What'd you get, Robert?
I had a really good lunch at a restaurant that we'll say has been in the news a little bit. The guy who owned it sold it, and so
Big news.
I'm afraid the quality could start skyrocketing down. So I'm going to eat at Henry's as often as I can over the next couple weeks. But
Yeah.
I had a great lunch there, and so now I'm just going to dessert it up here. Give me some Ghirardelli brownies, and, I'm just going to pile that thing up here and talk a little sports.
You might have to save me a bite for that.
No, that's
That'd be
probably
all
not going to happen,
right.
Chuck.
Okay. All right. Well, we again thank Miller's for being our host.
What'd Larry get? Did he get squid again?
Are you back to the calamari, Larry?
No. Today I'm going to just go with the standard cheeseburger.
Oh, jeez.
Standard cheeseburger.
How boring. For you, not for Miller's. Everything at Miller's is fantastic.
Correct.
So happy to be here.
I wouldn't
And
order a standard cheeseburger at any other restaurant.
Oh,
But
no. Here, standard is excellence.
Absolutely.
There you go. All right, we've got a new guest this week. Somebody's never known what before. Put your hands together for Mr. Kevin Ficklin. Listen to that crowd, Kevin. Listen to that crowd, buddy. That's amazing.
He can't hear it unless he's got his headphones
That's
on.
all right. We
But
can
the
hear
crowd
it.
was going crazy.
They were going crazy, throwing things. It was amazing.
Yes, I
I thought-
appreciate the introduction, man.
I thought I was at a Robert Plant concert. There was so many women throwing things at him. I was like, wow.
It was tough catching it all.
As long as
Yeah,
it
it
wasn't
is,
plant,
it is.
long as it wasn't plants, I don't care what they throw it. There you go. All right. So we're going to get into some heavy sports. My man Kevin over here played football at KSU. He's running back, and he's going to stick around and be on the KSU show with us later, right?
Two
yeah,
for
that's
two.
the plan. That's the plan.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. So right now we're going to talk about some college football, our first segment, and this new 5-7 setup they have for playoffs next year.
Playoffs.
I knew you were going to say that.
I knew you. You kind of teed it high for me.
Hey, I tried to tee it off for you. So here's the way it's working from what I understand. The top 5 division or conference winners,
Correct.
the highest ranked conference winners get automatic bids.
That is correct.
5. Now, it doesn't have to be, probably will be
It's going
the
to
Big
be
10, the
those-
Big 12, the SEC, and the Big
ACC.
Yeah.
And the
all
ACC.
powerhouses at that point.
Yeah. But
Hypothetically,
hypothetically,
if
it doesn't have to be.
if the Big 12 stunk it up and the ACC stunk it up, and you had a couple other teams that were ranked really high from the MEAC,
MEAC or
the Ohio Valley, they could be in.
or the American Conference, like it happened a couple of years ago when Cincinnati was ranked number 4. And they couldn't get in
Correct.
because they weren't a Big 5 powerhouse then. And then they said, be careful using the Group of 5 conference,
Group of 5.
because that in a situation like that, well, let's say that the ACC has an off year and the winner of the ACC has 3 losses. There's a good chance they're not going to be able to get in because they might not be highly ranked, and somebody like in the AAC, like a Tulane or somebody like that, might be ranked higher, and they would get in. So it's where they're ranked at the end of the regular season as to how the committee is going to be based on that, and then have the 7 at-large bids.
Correct. Well, it's still going to come down to that Sunday. You know, all the championship games will be on Saturday, and then that'll play itself out, and then we'll throw it all in. You know, the easy part isn't going to be the top 5. The easy part is going to be the add-on 7.
Yeah.
Is it because now it's not they're reserving that 12th spot anymore?
But they are because it's the 5.
It's the number 5.
It's the 5 top conference winners. So you're going to get ACC, Big 12, SEC,
Big 10.
and Big 10, and then that 5th, whichever conference he goes to, will be the Liberty from this year.
So they're better off. They'll get a 5 seed instead of a 12 seed.
No, that's not true. They're not a 5 seed. 5 people get in with
They
that.
get buys though.
Yeah.
No.
First, the number 1 seeds get buys, I thought.
The top 5 get
Top 4,
buys.
Top four get buys.
Not what they said today.
Yeah.
No, top 4 get
That's
top
absolutely-
5 conference winners. Top 4
Correct.
get buys.
Correct. So when that 5th team wins that bowl game and it's Liberty or Eastern Michigan, sorry Eastern Michigan, you're still our 12th seed.
But they're in.
They're in.
But they might be a 12th seed.
They'll be
but they might
playing-
not be.
They don't have to be. They
There's
don't
somewhere-
have to be.
They're somewhere
Robert,
between 5
I
and
don't
12.
think that's right. I think it's the top 5 conference winners are the top 5 seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1 through 5 at that point.
no, they won't be because it's all based on best thing, and you're not going to make Memphis, Eastern Michigan, or anybody else the number 5 seed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think there's the possibility, just like
a possibility, absolutely. If Eastern Michigan is undefeated and dominating people, and the AP has them as number 4, then yeah, they could be a 5 seed. But that's not what's going to happen.
Sean,
Typically,
Sean, are
that's
you
gonna be
looking
a
it up
12
on your
seed
phone?
forever and ever.
We got my man Sean from Charlotte. He's checking that on the phone. Oh, he's sitting here in the bar.
Yeah.
He's going to let us know.
Yeah, you also got to think about it. If it's a SEC team, 2 of the top SEC teams, you're going to have more likely of a chance
Absolutely.
to get there in the top 5. compared to another team.
Under last year's system, if you played it out in last year and you had a 2-time defending national champion who's 12-0 going into it,
Yeah.
I assure you that person's going to get a little bit of a nod over Eastern Michigan in their conference championship. It's just the way it works, but it's okay. I don't mind explaining it to the masses.
All right. So Sean from Syracuse has got us a definitive answer here. Larry's going to share it with us.
It's such a
Larry, the
definitive answer.
engineer.
He handed his phone to Larry, and now we're going to have Larry kind of regurgitate whatever he thinks he read.
And he went to Tulane,
He
so
went to Tulane.
I don't know that he's going to
That
be any
means he
good
was
at
on
that.
Bourbon Street half the time. It's like, should I study tonight or go down to the Trico house? I
Ooh,
like
the Trico house.
I might have spent a couple.
I've been to the
Weeks.
Trico House and the Cat's Meow and all those places down there on Bourbon Street.
okay, let me read this.
All right.
Moment of
The
truth.
4 highest ranked conference champions will get the top 4 seeds in order in the bracket and receive a first round bye. Those teams may be ranked behind other at-large teams in the final selection committee rankings, but if a team is, for example, the 3rd highest ranked conference champion, it will jump straight to number 3.
But you got to
So
go. You got to go back to the sentence you just read right before that one, because that really says everything.
No, it says those teams may be ranked behind other at-large teams in the final selection committee rankings, but if a team is, for example, the 3rd highest ranked conference champion, it will jump straight to number 3. So that's saying that the 5 conference champions are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, regardless of where they fall.
No, it still does. It said 4. You guys are taking the number 5.
The
and
4
then
are
adding-
the ones with the bye.
Correct. So what we're talking about is buys. So
It
there's
says
nothing.
after
Oh,
that.
no, we know the top 4 get the buys,
Right.
but it's where that 5th seed is.
I'm not trying to mansplain this to you, but you guys understand.
Mansplain that. Is that a new word?
It is.
Okay,
Usually.
sorry. Let me read the next.
Okay, there we go. Here comes the next part.
After that, the 5th highest ranked conference champion is not guaranteed anything other than a spot in the field.
Okay.
Correct. Which
and
is
that's what you've been telling us.
That's what I've been telling you. Because at the end of the day, not only for all the other reasons, but you can't have
5 buys and,
You
and
can't
7.
have Alabama. Where's Alabama go? Well, Alabama is traveling to Eastern Michigan because they're a 5 seed. Yeah, Eastern Michigan couldn't handle that game. You couldn't have one of the big boys going there.
And, the reason this has taken so long is because of the Pac-12. They said, let's
It
beg
used
off,
to
let's
be
beg off.
6-6.
Yeah.
It was a 6-6. Now it's a 5-7.
And
So
they had to to sign off on it. And they said now, because it's 5-7 instead of 6-6, they've got a better shot at getting in as an at-large team.
They do.
One of the Pac-12
Yeah, it
or
does make
Pac-2
sense.
teams.
One
yeah.
of the Pac-2. Yeah, and they do, but once again, this is better for football. If you're trying to get the best teams, you just went from the 6 best teams to the 7 best teams. That is better for the sport.
Yeah.
Conference champions, neither here nor there. But the 7 best at-large team is always going to be better than the 6 at-large teams. Yeah.
So do you think that any team with 3 losses will get in?
It's still going to be pretty tough if you have 3 losses. I mean, when you think about it, if it's an SEC school, that might be a bigger case, you know.
Absolutely.
Tougher schedule, but, I mean, 3 losses is kind of tough to get in any playoff system at that point for college football or bowl game that's a high-bid bowl game. So,
You know, it's really weird because no matter what we do, we're still going to have controversy, which is what makes college football great, right?
Absolutely. How are you, sir?
See you, Bill.
you.
Everybody, Bill
Knock it out
Cuthbert.
of the- knock it out of the ballpark.
Now, that's the next segment.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, you want the best teams. This is the way.
You're happy with this because you've been wanting this ever since we met 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, you know, ideally, yeah, and I'm a historical, all that other good stuff. But you know, there was a team where there was the Big 12, 5 years ago, and it was who were the 2 teams? Was it TCU? It wasn't TCU, but it was like TCU and Baylor, and they were ranked 5th and 6th. So you didn't allow either one of them in. So you know, there's a problem there because fighting the war of attrition as one has to do, and now the Big Ten or the SEC, you might have a 3rd best team. You know, I've got 3 losses. Yeah, but we're pretty sure your 3 losses are to the 1, 5, and 6 seeds. You know, they couldn't be the 1, 2, and 3 seeds, but you know, so you know, at some point in time. But I will say this: under the last year, when we looked at it, the top 12 teams were 5 Big Ten. As far as this current year, if you take the Oregon and Washington and call them Big Ten teams, there would have been 5 SEC, 5 Big Ten, 1 ACC, and 1 Liberty. Now the most you can ever have from a conference realistically is probably 4, not 5.
I don't think we'll ever see 4 from a conference.
I think you will. I think you'll see it this year or next.
Well, when we all get to be just 2 conferences, maybe.
yeah.
Well, but you almost
We're getting
already
close.
are.
We're
You
getting
almost
that way
already
at
are.
that point. A lot of people
Yeah.
are joining the SEC now, so I mean, ACC is almost gone at that point. A lot of people are trying to leave. I know Florida State's trying to.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen, but they're trying. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just looking at the Big Ten, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say Michigan's in, Ohio State's in. Right now, they've already got 2 teams in. So now, all of a sudden, how does Penn State play this year? How does Oregon play? You know, it's not going to take that much to get a 4th team.
I may concede to that. We'll see.
At some point, it's going
At
to
some
depend
point,
on
yeah.
the year. It's going to depend
Absolutely.
on absolutely.
Absolutely. And you know, it's funny. A lot of coaches are going from head coaching jobs to assistant coach's job to get out of the headaches.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Chip Kelly, why would you leave a head coaching job at UCLA to go be an assistant at Ohio State? I don't want to deal with this. I mean, a lot of assistants or coaches are going to the NFL as assistants. They just don't want to deal with it.
You know, he had so much success at Oregon, and then once he went to Philadelphia and now to L.A., being at UCLA, I just think he realized, man, I had it so good in Oregon when nobody was looking over my shoulder and everything. I was just calling plays. I think he's just happy to be
Calling plays.
calling plays.
again at that
And
point.
Ryan
Doing what-
Day's probably happy
doing
with
what
him
he
calling
likes.
plays too.
Doing
yeah.
what he likes.
Yep. Right. So college football. I hate that it's over. Yeah, we've all been like that for a few weeks now, but it'll be back soon. I don't know. I guess the draft is more of an NFL event than it is college, but a lot of colleges get involved in it.
Well, it all depends how good your college does at the draft, because, man, that's a heck of a selling point that entire next year.
Well,
We
good
had
news.
9 guys.
Good news from a football perspective is the combine starts Monday.
It's always good to see who looks the best in their underwear. That's all it is. You're taking 4 years of videotape out of the equation.
What's in your Coke today, Robert? I'm just curious.
I'm just saying, I mean, you watch a guy play football for 4 years, and you're like, wow, this guy's great at everything. And then
He looked great in his underwear
But
at
then
Combine.
you can't wait till he gets in his underwear at Indiana, so you can go, I don't know, not quite what we're looking for here.
let's take him out of all the pads.
He is what you're looking for. You watch the videotape, not him with a measuring tape. So.
Yeah, that's another laugh. Okay, well, let's get on our first commercial. Let's do our Kennesaw Express Lube commercial.
There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in the Kennesaw area, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castrol Kennesaw Express Lube or Lost Mountain Express Lube. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business where you'll find Brian under a car or a hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer Castrol products.
And thank you, Brian Bristro, for being a sponsor of the Three Guys Who Love Sports here at Millersville House on this fabulous Wednesday afternoon. So, we're past football now, so we're going to get into the spring sports a little bit. We're going to talk a little Braves baseball. First workout was today, I think, wasn't it?
Baseball been very, very good to me.
Dominican.
See. So, spring training starts today. Braves are kicking tail. The last few years, 6 years in a row now they've won the division?
I think so.
So that's a lot. So they kind of own the East, and we'll find out if they do again this year. I was listening to one of the pundits around town that said Major League Baseball ranked the top 10 second basemen in the major leagues this year. And Ozzie Albies didn't make the top 10. And I went back and looked at his stats, and he was like second in home runs, first in this, third in this, fourth in that, and he didn't make the top 10. How can that possibly be, Robert?
You were looking at a fraudulent list or a list that was not from 2024.
It was, because they said MLB.com or whatever, they ranked the top 10.
And I'm okay. I'm okay with all that. I'm just.
And it was the Buck Blue show is where I heard it. And Buck Blue will talk for a second,
I'm going to clear all the
and then
picks
he'll
in
stop for a second,
in my little draft things here.
and then he'll talk again.
So as of right now for fantasy baseball, Mookie Betts, who is a right fielder predominantly for the Dodgers,
He was number one.
but he got moved to second base, so he's got second base eligibility so yes, he's clearly the number one.
Yeah.
They've got Ozzie as number 3.
Yeah, and that's where everybody that was on the show said that's where he should be ranked, which is what I would think.
Correct.
But
No
on this
matter-
one list, he was not even in the top 10.
Yeah, once again, that was somebody who doesn't need to ever be published again.
I would agree. I would that because Ozzie's a pretty good guy.
No, I said this a couple years ago about Ozzie, and this was back when we had Freddie as well. And I said, if you took Ronald Acuna would be the best player on 27 different major league teams. Freddie Freeman would be the best player on 20 different teams. And if you look down our lineup, Ozzie Albies, and once again, I said this like 3 or 4 years ago, Ozzie Albies would be the best player on at least 8 or 9 teams. If you put him to Kansas City or Pittsburgh or one of these teams, man, they'd be like, holy moly, this guy's unbelievable. He just gets overlooked because of the lineup he's in.
Well, I didn't know you 3 years ago, but I'll trust you on that.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. All right. So, talking about our favorites, Brave. Is he your favorite current Brave?
Ozzie?
Yeah.
I love me some Ozzie, but no, he's not my favorite current.
Acuna is probably your favorite.
Yeah, I'm an Acuna guy.
Yeah, same here. It's going to be Acuna for me.
So, is he your all-time favorite Brave?
He is not, because I was a grown man and I was jaded by the time I met Mr. Ronald Acuna Jr. So, my number one Brave of all time, and I've got a little bit of garbage to read with you here.
I like garbage. That's okay.
Who is it? Go ahead and say it. You should know.
Not Hank.
No.
Terry Pendleton.
Good Lord. I'll just stop there.
Dale Murphy.
Thank you, Dale
Yeah,
Murphy.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back-to-back MVPs 1982 and 83. Here's my stats for you. The guy's not in the Hall of Fame. He's 2 home runs away from that 400 plateau. I honestly believe had he hit 2 more home runs, he just checks a couple more boxes, and people people from Wichita or Poughkeepsie or anywhere else who have never seen anything would vote for him. But here's my question for you. Most home runs in the 1980s. In the calendar, January 1st, 1980 through December 31st, 1989, who hit the most home runs in that decade?
Let me guess. Dale Murphy?
No, he was second.
2.
Mike Schmidt, Hall of Famer.
Mike Schmidt.
Eddie Murray is third. He's a Hall of Famer. Andre Dawson is fifth. He's a Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer. But he's second on that list.
Robert's passionate about Dale Murphy.
I
too.
love me some
I
Dale
can tell.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Most walks in the 1980s. He was fifth.
Because
most-
Bob Horner was batting behind him.
Most runs in the 1980s. He was fourth. Most RBIs in the 1980s. He was second. He was ahead of Mike Schmidt. Here's a guy who clearly dominated for a 10-year span like few ever have, and it's just a shame that they have not. And on top of that, we never know how good these people are. We throw everybody on a pedestal, and then half of them turn out, and I don't want to start throwing names out like Bill Cosby, Joe Paterno. But later in your life, all of a sudden you're getting judged like you weren't getting judged before. Here's a guy who is still considered the creme de la creme of good people, and for that, it should be an extra vote. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yep. How about you?
I'd probably have to go the obvious Hank Aaron. Probably put in Chipper Jones in there as well. So
Little Larry.
you
Can't
know.
go wrong with little Larry.
those would probably be my 2
That
greatest
Larry?
Braves.
No,
That's
not
a
that
great Larry.
No,
That's
not
a
that
great
Larry.
Larry right there
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah, that's a great Larry, too. But
That's an unbelievable Larry. I've just never seen him play in the hot corner for the Braves.
speaking of the hot corner, I got to go with Bob. I mean, I know that Dale was a great player, and I told many people on the show the reason I fell in love with Bob Horner was because my mom loved Dale Murphy so much that I had to antagonize her. Say, oh, no, Mom, Bob's the guy. And so that's why Dale scored the most runs, because Bob drove him in. But you know who I like beyond Bob Horner? And obviously I like Murphy, but Rico Carty and Ralph Garr. Those were 2 of my favorite old school Braves. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dusty Baker. There's a
The
lot.
big boy with the
know,
big bat,
y-
Rico
y-
Carty.
Yeah.
You don't
look
remember
back
those
at
guys, do you?
I do not. I'm not even going to sit here and lie and act like I do.
That's fine. Woody Woodward.
There's some good ones.
You remember Woody Woodward? Shortstop? Mm-hmm. Gil Garrido.
But, as much as you love all those
Dennis
names,
Minky.
Eggs Benedict, Biff Pokeroba, and all
almost-
that other good stuff, let's not forget Dave Justice, who won us a title.
I wanted to name
Or
my
Glavin Maddox.
I wanted to
Salts.
name my son Biff Pokeroba and call him Poco, but the ex didn't go for Poco Burge. I think
she had
that'd
no
been cool.
vision.
She had no vision.
She had no vision.
She had no vision. Yeah. So the Braves pretty cool. They've been around for a long time. Somewhere I have a notebook. You used to get these pictures of the Braves when you went to a Sinclair gas station or something, and I've got those somewhere in a notebook. And I gotta believe they're worth something. I don't know what, but somewhere out in my garage. But I'd love to find those someday. But it had like Minky and Woody Woodward and God, I can't remember who the other outfielders were. Clete Boyer played here for a little bit, didn't he?
He was a Cardinal mostly, but I believe he might have showed up.
I think he played here. Who else were the
Clete
outfielders?
Boyer. Yeah, he was a Yankee and a Cardinal, possibly a little bit of Braves.
I think he came to the Braves. I'm not sure.
You're
But
probably right.
yeah. So pretty cool Braves. Now, favorite game I've ever been to, I've got 2. Real quickly, I saw Ozzie Smith do his last flip when the Braves beat him in the 6th game of the championship series that year. I can't remember. Was it 95?
95 would have been, 95 would have been the comeback year.
Yeah.
No, actually, 96 would have been the comeback year. We'd have been down 3-1 against the Cardinals in 96.
Yeah, and the other game I've talked about on here before was 66 when Koufax and Denny LeMaster pitched, and the Braves beat Koufax 2-1 in 10 innings. Both pitchers picked complete games.
Okay.
It was crazy, crazy, crazy baseball back then. People stayed with the same team their whole careers and stuff like that. It was
Dang you,
nuts.
Kurt Flood.
And then my third one was the night Otis made the catch. It was my oldest son. He's 34 now. It was his very first baseball game that I took him to. We had one hit with David Justice homer, and Otis robbed Andy Van Slyke of that home run, and we won 1-0. Great ball game. It was about 6 or 7 rows behind home plate. So for me, those are probably my favorite games I've ever been to.
I still, whenever I hear Andy Van Slyke's name, you know, there's a scene from St. Elmo's Fire where Demi Moore is sitting in an empty apartment and she's looking like a crack addict and she's just kind of bobbing like this. There's a point when, after Sid Bream scores the winning run in Game 7 of the 92 NLCS, and, you know, the Braves are just celebrating everywhere, and then all of a sudden they flash out to center field. There's Andy Van Slyke. He's just sitting in this position like, this can't be happening to me. Love that moment.
Yeah, it was a good moment.
It was a good moment.
Yeah.
What's your favorite game ever?
So I'm honest. I haven't been to a lot of baseball games when it comes to the Braves. So the ones that I have been to, just good times spending with friends and family. So
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have a specific game that would probably be my favorite game, unfortunately.
It's all good.
It's all right.
I
Yeah.
like them all.
Any win's a good game.
Yeah,
Right?
a win's a good game in my book. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or as long as there was as long as we had a good lead in the division before the game and you had a really fun time, then it's still okay.
It's all right. Yeah.
Might have lost, but it was still okay.
How about you, Robert?
Lots of games, lots of memories. Beating the Dodgers in Game 6 of the 2021 NLCS to go to the World Series, that was epic after the torture I was put through in 2020. But my favorite game of all time would have to be August 12th, 1984.
Not that you remember it specifically.
Not that I remember anything very specifically, but there was back then in the Kenny household, you got to go to one game a year and you didn't pick it. You know, I don't know how my dad came up with the tickets, but hey, I got 2 tickets to the Braves game. We're going to go, okay. So I went to the game and it was the San Diego Padres. And the very first pitch of the game, Pascual Perez threw one at 94 miles an hour into Alan Wiggins' ribs. And
the fight ensued.
And the next 4 at-bats, Pascual Perez actually had 4 at-bats during the game. The first at-bat, he comes up, they go inside. And they go inside, and it keeps missing it and missing it. You can tell we're trying to hit you, but we're not trying to hit you. And by the time he came up for his 4th at-bat, you knew he shouldn't have been there. It should have already happened. So they did. They threw behind him, and Pascual's got the bat, and he's running around with a bat like he's a homicidal maniac. But the best moment was Bob Horner, your boy Bob.
That's my man.
Bob was on the DL, and he had a broken arm, and he had his arm in a cast. So he was actually up in the booth when the game started. And he was like gonna just sit in with the broadcast, you know. Hey, I'm a player. Well, as the game started going on, Big Bob's figuring I need to get down there and put a uniform on. So he goes down there, he puts the uniform on. 4th at bat, boom, he gets plunked. Pascual Perez gets plunked, and they start this fiasco, right? Well, an airborne Ranger used to be with the Cincinnati Reds. He was a Padre at that point, named Champ Summers.
I remember Champ Summers.
Champ was considered like the toughest guy in baseball, you know, literally was the toughest guy. And he starts chasing Pascual, right? Pascual running around like this, and he ran into the dugout, and Bob Horner steps to the top of that. And I mean, I can remember sitting there watching this, and Bob just... He does his head shake like, you know, dude, I got a cast on my hand. I'm going to bash in the head with this cast. And he did. He bashed Champ Summers because Champ Summers like, listen here, fat boy, I don't care what you do. You'll only get one swing in on me. But, yeah, one of those crazy games where you can't believe, you know, 35 years that you were even able to go. And I tried to look up the attendance, but I couldn't find it, but it was probably less than 8,000 people. I was sitting in a section with Army, what do they call it when you first start and you're in basic training? It's like was like a huge
Yeah.
group of people right out of basic, right? And so when the fights start happening, some guys they just start running from their seats, and then their guys are blowing whistles at them.
Drill sergeants are like, get your ass back over here.
And so, but yeah, I got to watch this fight, and I mean, every time there was a fight, there was at least another 3 guys out of this basic training like, I'm gonna go get one. It's like, no, Johnny, you're not allowed to go kill a Padre today.
That's a great story.
It was.
It
It was
really is
epic.
a great story.
It was epic.
Now, out of the 3 stadiums, which one's your favorite, Robert?
I'm gonna say Turner.
The
Not that-
Ted?
The Ted, not that it was neither here nor there. I love Truist, SunTrust, whatever we're calling it this week. But there was something about if you went to the Olympic Stadium, and then they took that whole section out after the Olympics to make the TED, and I swear I used to stand out there and I used to just marvel thinking about how the stadium used to look and how it was configured and how they removed it. Yeah, it was always amazing to me. So I'll definitely say that one. Plus I was young.
Yeah, I'll probably have to go Atlanta Fulton County just because I went to so many games there. And when I used to love baseball. $7 seats down in the field level. Can you imagine that
that's
today?
not
That ain't happening today.
I used to do dollar skyline
Oh, yeah?
seats at the TED.
Yeah.
It was all the way up in the top of right field, and it was $1 for this side. Like,
and you could move down fairly easily.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. But I love Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
How many of those multi-sport stadiums did you ever make it to?
I went to a few. Yeah. I've been to Busch. Went to Seattle. I can't think of the name of their stadium. I would have loved to go to Candlestick. Never did. I guess I didn't go to as many as I thought. I've been to Fenway. They played a bowl game there.
Yeah, not one of those classic concrete monsters from the 1960s,
No,
though, like
no.
Busch and Atlanta Fulton County.
Yeah.
Riverfront, Three Rivers,
Yeah.
Oakland Municipal. There's a few of them.
There were some great ballparks, and
But they were all
they're
the same. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
was-
what I'm
it
saying.
was
They're all
exactly
exactly the same. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So, real quick, are the Braves a lock for their 7th division win?
We're not a lock. We're not even number 1 in payroll in our own division.
Probably 3 at least behind the Mets and the Phillies.
I don't know that the Mets have passed us. I know they did last year when they spent 42.5 for Verlander and 42.5 for Scherzer. But we have the best offense in baseball.
Yep,
We do.
best lineup in baseball.
We have the best 9 hitters
Okay.
in baseball.
On one team.
Well, they're not all. We'd like to add Aaron Judge or something
Yeah, that's
like
what I'm
that.
saying. We don't have Trout or anything like that.
No, but our lineup 1 to 9 is better than anybody else's.
Okay. All right, I can live
It's just
with
that dang pitching.
Yep, and
That's
we'll
the
see
main
what
thing,
happens with that. Let's do our second commercial with American Access.
Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Access has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, bachelor or bachelorette party, or somewhere new to take those out-of-town guests, American Access has 3 Atlanta locations in Marietta, Tucker, and now in downtown at the Works. Each and every location is conveniently and not coincidentally located next to a brewery. Look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And thank you, Dan Fisher, for being a sponsor of the 3 Guys Who Love Sports. And we're happy to have you on board, not only for this show, but also for the Owls Who Live Sports. Show My American Axe. We'll be using it again shortly for...
He doesn't even have anything to do with it right now, and he still puts it right next to him. It's like,
Well, Larry lays it over here. I gotta
let me
use
get
it.
this real close to me.
Gotta
just in
show it to
case.
the
It's
client,
a trophy
you
at
know?
this point, man.
Yeah, exactly. But we will be picking some college basketball, but we'll get to in our last segment today. But as for now, we're going to do our continuing segment on the greatest athletes. And this week it's who is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 25. And I found it more confusing than any number we've done up until this date because there just weren't a lot of great athletes, in my opinion, that wore number 25. Well,
No argument.
and Robert, I want to ask you, out of all the ones listed, how many of them actually only wore 25 and not these people like, I think George Brett's probably the best athlete on this list, but he wore 25 his first year.
Yeah, George Brett was number 5.
number 5 forever.
19 years in MLB. So yeah, he's definitely not. Richard Sherman is a very good 25. Barry Bonds, for example, Barry Bonds broke all the records in Pittsburgh when he was a Pirate. He was 24, and the reason why he was 24.
Willie Mays.
His godfather, Willie Mays. But then he went to the Giants, where 24
Mays.
was retired.
Yeah.
And so then he became 25. So it's hard for me to give Bonds a nod, even though he hit a bazillion home runs as number 25, knowing that he was taking everything you could
That's
possibly.
because he was taking 25 pills a day
Anything
to
under
hit
the
those
sun
home
at
runs.
that
At
point
least.
to make sure you can hit
At
that home
least.
run. So.
And Ricky Henderson, I believe he wore
He was-
25 for like a year when he was a Red Sox.
And he was 24. He was in the 24 list last week.
Correct. He was a 24 when he was a Oakland A, and that was his main career. So
Yep. So others we have on our list is Robert mentioned Richard Sherman, who's probably the highest on the list that wore the same jersey his whole career. We also have Vince Carter.
Vinsanity.
Vinsanity,
Or
exactly.
did he wear 25 by chance?
I think he wore 25
The
a few
whole-
times.
Yeah, he played the majority of his career with the Suns, right?
Oh, I think anything saying majority for Vince Carter.
Yeah, that's a long career
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, he had a long career, and he was definitely on a
I think he
few.
came here for a while. Didn't he?
He was.
Played-
He
played
was.
as a Hawk?
He ended his career here.
Robert's doing some research here on how many times he wore 25. So he would probably not be included on the list of the greatest athletes that wore 25 for their whole career.
So typically, Vince's main number was 15.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the main
He
number.
was he was 15 for 6 different teams. He wore 25 for 2 different teams. So like I said,
Well, there are others on the list, and what I found funny about George Brett was on Ranker.com, where I looked to see who are the greatest athletes that wore numbers on him. The picture they have on him, he has number
It even
5.
shows even number
He's got
5.
number 5. I said, so why do you have him at 25? I guess there are no pictures of his first year. He got his first hit in in Comiskey Park, playing for the Royals against the White Sox.
Comiskey.
Yep. And then LaShawn McCoy, Shady McCoy.
The real Slim Shady.
Yeah. I don't know that he kept 25 when he went from Philadelphia to Buffalo.
He did, I believe.
Did
He did.
Yeah,
After
but-
that, it kind of got shaky with the number at that point. It changed up a lot.
He got a little shaky and shady.
Yeah.
I think
Shady was
Kevin
shaky.
did that on purpose. Didn't
I think he did.
Nice
Shaky and
little intro
shady.
into it.
There you go. Yeah, that's funny. So, but I have 3 others that aren't even on that list that were way down the Ranker.com.
I can't wait to hear yours and Kevin's picks on this one so that I can bestow some more man knowledge on you.
Well, before we do that, I do want to go back up to a couple numbers earlier in our countdown that I want to adjust my favorite to.
So hold on a second. You came up with this idea that we should name the top person with each number, and now months, possibly almost a year after the fact, you'd like to go back
No,
and revisit?
they're within a month.
Oh, okay. So it's just the recent numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
So
a little better with
21.
that.
You have any idea who I'm going to say about 21?
We had a lot of possibilities for 21.
Three-peat, and then we never even talked about it on the show.
What do you-
Three-peat is the big clue.
3P.
My cousin just won Daytona 500
Oh.
Xfinity Cup for the 3rd straight year, which has never been done. Monday night.
That's right.
Austin Hill, number 21.
ATI wasn't there for that number.
Yeah.
So he couldn't throw in the racing.
So
he
Austin
has
Hill.
to get the racing in.
Yeah, my cousin. Congratulations, buddy. That's
Congrats,
fantastic.
Under the nepotism rule of this show,
You will allow that?
We will allow that one, but I can't wait to hear this next one that we have to have another retraction for.
Well, we're going to talk about it probably in the next section too. Caitlin Clark is probably the best 22.
She's the double deuce.
Yeah.
You got. I tell you, did you see the shot where she broke the record, the women's record?
Yeah, from the logo.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you look at her shirts, you can buy all these different shirts, and half of them say "from the logo."
Yeah.
But you see, it's like she's not even wide open. If you're going to shoot it 7 feet behind the 3-point line, you'd like to think
You
she's
ought to be wide open, yeah.
She pulls a pirouette 360 with 4 hands in her face.
Nothing but net. All
She's
right,
unbelievable.
So those are my two backups I have to do. You let me live with both of those?
I'm letting both slide.
Okay.
Letting
All right,
both
All
slide.
right, cool. But for number 25, Jim Thome.
Big Jim.
I've been to his hometown of Peoria, Illinois, that says home of Jim Thome. He was a pretty good athlete, hit a lot of home runs. I think he always was number 25.
Always is a big thing in this world.
Well, you know what? But the further back you go in time, the more likelihood you're going to. Like, I know Harmon Killebrew was 25, and Al Kaline, I think, was 25.
Not for very long, though.
Yeah.
Or Killebrew would have been like number one on your list.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, once again, for a week. So Jim Thome wore 59, 6, 25, but 25 was his main number.
Is this the lottery? You're reading the lottery number?
59.
Yeah, it's a lot of numbers.
25.
All right. How about Freddie Biletnikoff?
Freddie Biletnikoff is a 25, and you know Bambi, as they like to call him.
Yeah.
That is a solid number 25 pick.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever heard of him. Somebody was making a joke. I was like 10 years old, and I was like overhearing like some men talking to him about something. They were like, "Well, you know, he's got more stickum falling off his hands than anybody." And I'm like, "Stickum, yeah."
Do you know who Freddie Biletnikoff
I
is?
do not.
Played for the Raiders. The Raiders.
He was the best wide receiver for the Raiders between, we'll say, 65 and 75 or
Okay,
something like
that's
that.
way before my time.
It went to a couple Super
Way
Bowls,
before.
but you know, before, when nobody made one-handed catches, unlike today.
Okay.
Here's a guy, little itty bitty white dude who probably shouldn't be out on a lot of fields, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, he felt like if you can touch it, you
Yeah.
should be able to catch it.
Now,
And-
did he have the stickum on his hand?
Oh
at that
man,
point?
it was
Yeah.
just it was
That's
just
the
pouring
question.
off his hands.
Oh,
pouring
yeah.
off
And
his
they
hands.
also
the main
have an award named after him. The best college receiver gets Freddie Biletnikoff.
The
Award, right?
Biletnikoff,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Neighbors just won that, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
Malik Neighbors just won that.
Absolutely,
Yep, yep.
absolutely, and you're absolutely right. That is as big of a award as wide receiver can get in that level.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to go with Freddie Biletnikoff. But there was one other that I had to bring up. Any ideas?
No,
Mark Price.
Mark Price. God, I love
Put college basketball back on the map in Atlanta, Georgia for the Jackets.
from Enid, Oklahoma.
Actually born in Bartersville, but he was raised in Enid, Oklahoma. Yeah.
Enid, Oklahoma. It's like,
Yep.
who's this guy? I don't know, but he's like Larry Bird
Shoot the
or
rock.
Caitlin Clark. I lived in the middle of nowhere, and all I did is shot.
I really thought he was the next Pistol Pete.
He
But-
was unbelievable. Free
Yeah,
throw
he was a-
shooter extraordinaire. I think he's still top 2 or 3. I think maybe Steph Curry's passed him at this
Yeah.
point, but unbelievable. What say you, sir?
For 25?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably going to go with Richard Sherman at that point. I mean, one of the top corners to ever play the game.
6 or 7 years he was rated the top corner in the
All-
league. Yeah.
All pro at that
All
point.
pro,
Bowl.
and that's the key. And you know, Pro Bowl is one thing. All pro, that's a whole nother subject.
If I had to take one out of the top 5, Richard Sherman's definitely the guy. Great athlete. Great athlete. Yeah.
I just want to see how many times he was.
That Legion of Boom was something different.
And,
Yeah.
and there is no Legion of Boom without him. I know there's a lot of other big players that we like to talk about, but clearly, if you don't have somebody who's covering 40 yards down the field, then there's some problems that can probably happen. 3-time All-Pro. So 3 times, once again, best player at his position in the field. So
And I think Biletnikoff actually won a World Series. I mean, a Super Bowl. I think he won one.
I think so.
Yeah.
Raiders when the Raiders won in 74, 75.
Around there, yeah.
Yep.
Blanda was quarterback, I think. Or
Yeah.
Stabler. I can't remember.
They just plunk it. They just bring them
Plunk
in,
it, that's who it
bring
was,
them
yeah.
out. They had so many. Well, those are all wonderful things, but not.
You're not going to pull like an Adam out on us. And
It's close. It's close. It is somebody that you've heard of. But I'm gonna read you this. This gentleman only led Major League Baseball in 2 different stats ever. You ready? In 1990, he gave up more hits than any other pitcher. 246 hits he gave up in his 1990 year. The only other time he led the league in something was his second to last career. He had a record of 2-18 He had 18 losses, which led Major League Baseball.
And this is your greatest
This is
athlete
my
to ever
great-
wear 25?
Absolutely, because he was true blue. And if you ever want to talk about one thing, hey, Larry, I got one question for you. Ready? What's the only player that you know of who played Major League sports who had one hand? There's only one guy.
I know about this one-armed fisherman. Said he caught one that long.
It's a Griffin brother, isn't it?
No, it
No.
is
No, I can't remember the guy's name, but I know who you're talking about.
Jim Abbott.
Oh, Jim Abbott. Yeah.
Be careful of the cord.
Tell them to be careful there.
So yeah, Jim Abbott, he only had a left hand, so he would put the glove over his nub, and he would throw. And after he threw, he would put the glove on real fast to play his position, and then if he caught the ball, he could put the glove under his hat, pull the ball back out, and it was like unbelievable. And as bad as you say, this guy was awful.
I knew
We've
it.
already hit it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I already.
Well, it's just the lights. So there you go.
But you think about it. Well, he was 2-18. You know what he was? He was still one of the best because he was considered. They kick you to the curb if you're not one of the best.
Yeah.
He was still one of the best. So I'm giving my award to Jim Abbott,
Jim Abbott. That's it was it
Bats
California
left.
Angels? Is he played for?
and then the Yankees. Bats left, throws left, fields left. Everything. He does everything
Too many
left.
people that do that. That's
Wow.
my favorite quote of all time. Bats left, throws left, fields left. That's pretty good. All right, Jim Abbott. We can't go wrong with that one,
You
right?
cannot go wrong with that.
All right, we got one more.
Inspiration for everybody.
We got one more commercial. Alvin Jameson. We'll get him.
Hey, Alvin Jameson here, the mortgage guy. Are you looking to get pre-approved for a home loan? Or maybe you want to build a house from the ground up? Are you curious, or better yet, is your significant other on your back about making renovations in your current home? Call me. I have options for you. All self-employed individuals. Are you torn between writing off all your income or having to show your income to qualify for a house? I have a third alternative for you. Whether you're a W-2 employee, self-employed individual looking to do a purchase or pull money out of your current house, or better yet, we can't forget the investors out there. If you have that high interest rate, hard money loan and looking to refinance out of it, again, give me a call. I have options. Below are the states that I'm personally licensed in. Call me, 404-587-9033. Again, 404-587-9033. Visit the website, alvinjameson.com.
Chuck Burge, we're back with the three guys who love sports. Here today with Kevin Ficklin, our guest, and my buddy Robert Kinney is my co-host. We're coming up on our last segment now, and we are talking about college basketball.
Basketball?
For the first time this year. I think we mentioned it a time or two, but we're going to do a whole segment on it now. And we're going to start out with Caitlin Clark. How great is she?
I mean, she's changed the game when it comes to women's basketball. I mean, basically, I call her the Steph Curry of women's basketball right now.
She's awesome, yeah.
Anywhere she wants to get on the floor, she can get, and she can shoot it from any distance at that point. So, I mean, it's hard to guard her.
And it's not just her shooting. She's a great assist leader, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All-around team player.
She's one of those players that makes everybody around her better.
Yeah.
And I think that's the definition of a great basketball player. Jordan was that. Pistol Pete was that. Did you ever get to see Pistol Pete play?
I've seen Pistol Pete play.
Like
So, yeah.
on tape. I know I wasn't live. yeah. But Robert, are you looking up Caitlin Clark's stats?
I'm
What are you
looking
doing?
all sorts of stuff up. You know
okay.
me.
So Robert, tell fans who you're going to go see play.
Well, you don't know who you're going to go see until it comes out in the wash. But I have got some tickets to Albany, New York for Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games. So the way women's college basketball works is they have a show right now that they're doing. I want to say it's Wednesday or Thursday, and it's the top 16 unveiling. So they do it the same way that they do the football for the top 4, but in women's college basketball, the top 16 teams will host the first 2 rounds of the tournament.
Yep.
And then at that point in time, once it goes Sweet 16, they go Elite 8 in Portland. So they'll be in Portland and Albany. So I've got tickets to Albany in hopes that that's where Caitlin Clark ends up. Yeah. Hopefully she doesn't go to Portland, Oregon. She goes to Albany, New York, and hopefully she wins her first 2 games. And then I'll be reporting live from the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 matchups.
I think you'll have a great time if you go. Right? A great time.
Get a chance to witness some greatness too.
She's so unbelievable. Yeah. She really
She's
is.
just fun to watch. She seems like she enjoys it. You know, and I read a quote from it's a ladies Tennessee coach, Pat Summitt, today. That said, you know, it's not all about the winning. Winning is not the most important thing. It's his desire to win that is the most important thing, because that's what drives you. Forget about what passed. It's the next game. You want to win again. You want to win again. So I think that's pretty cool.
It is. It is. Have you seen? I was looking up T-shirts, knowing that I could be going to a game, and it's like, okay, I need a shirt before I go because it'll be sold out, I'm sure, by the time I get there. Have you heard of the Damn It shirts? Mm-mm. So there's black shirts. Yellow Iowa writing says "damn it" across it, right? Well, this has become kind of a cult thing. So she missed a shot about a couple months ago and then yelled at herself because she was so upset. Damn it. And the ref teed her up for cussing on the thing. So now
the ref teed her up?
Teed her up. I know, I'm just trying to walk with you.
For saying "damn it" on the court?
But, you know, saying it not even
Everybody
against somebody else.
The referee, Robert, everybody,
you gotta join
teed her up.
Teed it.
That's crazy.
But, you know, that's one of the things. But, yeah, she's just phenomenal. It's different with baseball and football, and it's probably fairly similar for hockey, actually. But whenever I look at a basketball player, and, you know, I'm interested in knowing where you come from, right? So Kenny Anderson. You know, back to the great Georgia Tech. You know, this guy, he came from the streets of New York, right? So, you know, he's got his ball and he's walking down the sidewalk. He's going to that thing. You know, that's not Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's out in the middle of a field with a, you know, but you know, this is how, there's a lot of different ways to get to the highest level. And basketball, there's
goal
nothing.
on the side of the barn.
The same thing with, you know, we talked about Chris Price or Larry Bird or, you know.
Mark Price.
Oh, yeah, him too. I had a friend named Chris Price. Sorry.
Chris's brother, Mark.
But, yeah, you know, there's so many different ways to get there. And I will say this. She appears that she does make her team much better. But I'll say this. I don't think there's a lot of super talent around her. This is not a South Carolina team. This is not an LSU team. This is not a Connecticut team. This is a team that has the best player and 4 other girls who are willing to do what it takes.
Exactly. It's
a lot of fun to watch.
I actually watched South Carolina and the Dogs play this weekend. I was so upset that the Dogs were up by like 12 midway through the third quarter, but fortunately South Carolina came back and beat the Dogs, which made my day. I love that. Don't want the Dogs. I didn't want the Dogs to win anything, but very happy to see South Carolina continue their streak. So that was awesome. Moving over to the men's side, we've had quite a week with Ohio State upsetting Purdue last week. Purdue's lost 3 games, all on the road, all in the Big Ten. And then last night, Creighton
How about them Blue Jays?
Throttles UConn. I mean, 85-65 or something.
Took them behind the woodshed.
Yeah, beat them bad.
Behind the woodshed.
Beat them bad. And I read that was the 15th straight game that who lost? I went blank. UConn lost on the road
to a ranked team.
Yeah.
And I saw that same stat, and I didn't think that's possible.
I didn't either. That's the first thing I thought.
You think, well, surely they played a Seton Hall team that was 19th or, got some W. 0 for 15 on the road against their last 15 ranked opponents. That's an
unbelievable stat.
I think it might have been 19. 15 might be the number.
No, it was 15. It was 15 because I did see the same stat.
Yeah.
I was blown away by it.
That's crazy. But, I mean, this thing is wide open.
Wide.
March tournament.
You know, and we talk about wide open. I don't think the 47th team is going to win it all. So I'm looking at 15 teams. I think I could write down 15 teams and probably cover it. But that's better
Creighton would
than
have to be in that now, right?
on the outside of it. Looking at it, I don't know that they're in it, but they're close.
Yeah. So who are the final four now? Who are going to be the one seeds? Got to be Purdue.
It all depends on what
gets in there.
happens.
Yeah.
What happens in the next week?
But if got to be Purdue, got to be
Currently,
UConn. I don't know why I keep forgetting UConn. You got to be
Yeah,
UConn.
UConn's gonna be
Got to
up
be
there.
Houston, and fourth team maybe
Arizona, Tennessee.
North
it'll be
Carolina.
I think it's gonna be Tennessee.
You think it'd be Tennessee?
I think so.
Do you?
Carolina lost one this past week, knocked them down a little bit, but there's just so much basketball to be played. So a few of these teams are going to win their conference tournament. They're not going to lose for the next 2 weeks, and then they're going to win their conference tournament. So if you're Iowa State and you're ranked 6th, and you go out and you bust some heads and win the Big 12, you're a 1 seed all of a sudden. So a team like Marquette always freaks me out. It's like, is there any other sport where a team the size of Marquette can be considered a power? Not even a Cinderella. We like to think of them as a Cinderella.
They
but
used
they're-
to be a power.
They were a power in the late 70s. They were dominating, and so Al McGuire's
Al
old
McGuire
team.
was a coach, yeah.
But you look at it now and you go, well, they haven't had anything good. D Wade. Oh well, yeah, okay. Besides D Wade, they just seem to do so well in that little itty
but that's
bitty
who
Milwaukee market.
That's who UConn throttled before they played Creighton.
Correct.
I mean, it's crazy what's going on in college basketball. Sadly, I don't think the Owls are going to make it this year unless they run their ASUN tournament. But that kind of breaks my heart because I was really ready to go back to Greensboro. I had so much fun up there last year. But it's just around the corner. Do you have any thoughts on who you think might win the whole thing?
Kansas has the best starting 5.
Period.
I don't think they have a bench, and I don't know that all 5 of them are at 100%.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, and you look at a list like this. I watched Carolina, do some things over the years. It wouldn't shock me if Carolina showed up with a net cutting down ceremony. So.
It's crazy. Who was it? Kansas got throttled by 29 by Texas A&M last week too, and they dropped to like number 9 or number 10
Correct.
in the polls. So I don't see them as a 1 seed.
but once again,
they might be going into the 2 seed, what might be better for them.
It could be. It all depends on who the 1 seed is. But you look at Kansas, since you just brought them up, and they've got Texas, BYU, Baylor, K-State, and Houston left. Well, they win those 5 games, and they make a strong showing, and we'll say just not even win the conference championship, but go to the final game. That's a 1 seed.
That Houston game is at Houston, right?
It is.
I don't think Kansas will win that. If I had to pick a team right now that's going to win the national ship, if I was filling out my bracket today, it would be the Houston Cougars.
Yeah. I don't know.
And it's funny because I told you last year, anytime Kansas is up near the top, I take Kansas because in 1985 I picked Kansas and I won the NCAA tournament bracket. But the last time I won it, I think I come in second or something before, but that's the last time I won it. So I would probably have to say I'd have to take Houston at this point in time.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
UConn, I think they're going to bounce back, make some adjustments. It's kind of hard to say with their lineup that they're not going to go far in the tournament. So I think UConn still can pull it out. They just got to fix some things on their part to make sure they can get a little bit further down the line. So.
Yeah. I'll obviously start paying a lot more attention now. Like you said, you wait till the playoffs, but
Yeah.
we're there now, basically. Every game means something
Yeah,
now.
this is when teams
because
start
you're going to get
warming
in
up.
or you're not going to get in.
Yeah.
Based on how well you play here on out.
Tell me what you guys feel about this. If you had I won't say undefeated team, but you got a 2-loss team and they're ranked in the top 10. Do you want them to lose? Do you want them to refocus You know, sometimes you have that. Wow, we've won 17 in a row.
Yeah.
It just puts that extra little piece of pressure. I think sometimes you lose one of these games, the coach makes you refocus a little bit. I'm always okay with that.
Yeah, you texted that about Purdue this week.
That's what the
In our little
Eagles
group,
said
yeah.
this year.
Yeah, the Eagles, they couldn't even find 12 wins after starting out 10-1.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about football. Yeah. So it is better to lose in February than it is in March. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to lose either time. But it's been a long time since Indiana went undefeated.
Bobby Knight days. Yeah. 72. Was that 72?
48 years ago, 76.
76. Yeah. that's
48
right.
years since a team's been able to go undefeated.
Yeah. And there'll never be another UCLA run of 7 straight championships, I don't believe.
No, but the undefeated, you think it'll happen. I remember the 1990-1991 year, and those running Rebs came to town, and Tark the Shark and everybody else, and man, they beat Duke by 30.
The running Rebs.
And they won the national championship, and then that next year they went undefeated all the way to the Final Four, and everybody, oh, man, they get Duke again. They beat them by 30 last night. Didn't happen.
No.
It's just it's so tough. So
Yeah,
tough.
it is. All right. Speaking of tough, we're up against the top of the hour, and we are done for this week. Been a great show, Kevin. Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate y'all
Kevin,
having me.
don't get tired of
Same
looking at
three
his face.
faces.
'Cause
Same
same three
three.
faces back at 7 o'clock for the Owl Show. Until then, guys, go out there and take care of yourselves. Know your numbers. What was that?
I was putting on my glove.
Know your
Gotta
numbers.
know your numbers.
Get your prostate checked. And take care of yourselves. We'll see you then. Next week on Three Guys Who Love Sports.
26 probably.